Hi, PerspectaWeather.com meteorologist Paul Dorian here on Monday, November 5th. A very active weather pattern continues this week across much of the nation. We'll have three different systems to deal with here in the eastern U.S. over the next several days. The first system will be low pressure area riding up along the eastern seaboard today, causing some rain in the mid-Atlantic region. That steadier rain during the day will evolve into a patchy drizzle type of precipitation pattern in the overnight hours. Then a strong cold front which will enhance the threat for severe weather today in the Midwest presses to the East Coast later tomorrow, and with it will be an increased chance for strong to severe thunderstorms in places like D.C., Philadelphia, New York City later tomorrow into the early part of tomorrow night. Finally, a third system, another low pressure area, will ride up out of the southern U.S. at the end of the week, producing more rain in the mid-Atlantic region on Friday, and that will be followed by a very chilly air mass for the weekend and the early part of next week. Well, let's start off with the focus on the severe weather threat. Places like the Mississippi Valley, the Tennessee Valley, it's really quite significant for this part of November to see enhanced threat here from Tennessee down across northern Mississippi, northwestern Alabama, even extending later on in the day to the northwestern part of Georgia. Again, all this associated with a strong cold frontal system pressing into the Midwest today. That cold front arrives along the eastern seaboard later tomorrow, and the severe weather threat will shift eastward tomorrow with some strong to perhaps even severe thunderstorms midday afternoon hours possible tomorrow. Places like D.C., Philadelphia, even as far north as New York City. But the threat today, the Tennessee Valley down into the deep south associated with this strong cold frontal system. And here's the Storm Prediction Center outlook for Tuesday. Again, that severe weather threat shifts to the East Coast. Not quite as severe looking as it is today in the Tennessee Valley, the Mississippi Valley. Nonetheless, for the early part of November, this is pretty impressive to see a slight chance for severe weather in much of the I-95 corridor region. Again, this comes during the midday and afternoon hours. It could even extend as far north as New York City later tomorrow with the approach of that strong cold frontal system. Well, let's take a look at the current surface map. First of all, a couple of different players on the field here that we've talked about already. Low pressure along the East Coast with its associated warm frontal system extending to the north and east. All of this moves up along the eastern seaboard today, already causing rain in D.C. and Philadelphia, on the doorstep in New York City. That warm front actually passes on through and will turn out to be warmer tomorrow ahead of this strong cold frontal system. Here is where that front lies right now. It is supported by vigorous energy in the upper part of the atmosphere. Again, an enhanced threat for severe weather activity in Tennessee, northern Mississippi, Alabama, maybe even into northwest Georgia during the midday and afternoon hours. This severe weather threat shifts to the East Coast, not quite as dramatic as today, but nonetheless could cause some strong thunderstorms in the I-95 corridor midday, afternoon hours on Tuesday. Well, here's a look at the radar loop right now. And again, steady soaking rain already into the D.C. metro region and Philadelphia, on the heels on the doorstep of New York City, right in this region right here. Pretty steady rain for the next several hours. By late in the day, or certainly during the evening hours, the steady rain evolves into a patchy drizzle type of precipitation pattern. It starts off the week with high temperatures only in the 50s, a little bit below normal for this time of year. Not much activity going on right now across the Tennessee Valley, but we'll monitor that over the next several hours, as the radar should certainly increase in intensity and coverage in the Midwest over the next several hours. Well, let's take a look at the 850 millibar pattern from last night's 60 GFS model run. Very interesting pattern setting up here. We have a winter blast of air coming to much of the nation during the upcoming weekend and into the early part of next week. And even some signals that could be a storm of interest during the early part of next week with that cold air in place for the mid-Atlantic region, the northeast U.S. First of all, in the upper part of the atmosphere here at 850 millibars, it's a little bit above normal. but down at the surface, it's actually below normal today. So again, this warmer than normal is really a couple thousand feet aloft, but down at the surface with those low-level easterly winds here in D.C., Philadelphia, New York City, we'll hold in the 50s, and we should be around 60 degrees for normal highs right now in Philadelphia, for example. On Tuesday, we will turn warmer than normal here. Ahead of that strong cold frontal system, winds at the low levels will shift from the east to more of a south or southwesterly direction by tomorrow morning in the I-95 corridor region ahead of the strong cold front, and that will set the stage for the potential of some strong to even severe thunderstorm activity during the midday and afternoon hours in places like D.C., Philadelphia, perhaps as far north as New York City. Let's move forward here. Again, we're looking at 850 millibar temperature anomalies here. By the middle of the week, it does turn colder, certainly by Wednesday night into the day on Thursday. We'll get some colder air following that cold frontal passage, which occurs late Tuesday. And then you see a widespread area of colder than normal conditions here by the end of the week. Let's go all the way into Friday morning. Low pressure at this time will be riding up out of the south towards the mid-Atlantic region, kind of a boundary zone right here with the cold air to the north and west, warmer than normal air to the south and east. Indeed, low pressure will form along that boundary zone, produce more rain, the third system of the week on Friday. More rain from D.C., Philadelphia, New York City. And then following that, colder air moves in this week, and here we are Saturday morning. Let's just move forward here. Notice there's a reinforcing cold air shot, not only on the GFS model, but the European model also has that. So we'll have some cold air in place by the end of the weekend, the early part of next week. More cold air coming, and this is when it could get kind of interesting, excuse me, during the early part of next week, Monday, Tuesday time frame. There could be a low pressure area that forms right in this region right here with cold air in place and more cold air advancing. This is the early part of next week. We're talking about a week from right now in the much of the eastern third of the nation. Very interesting look to the 850 millibar temperature anomaly pattern over the next 7 or 8 days or so. Well, let's now move forward with the surface forecast maps from the 6Z GFS model run. Again, raining already in D.C., Philadelphia, on its way to New York City. Let's move forward here. The steadiest rain, the soaking part of this event will be over the next several hours. By late today, this is the 0Z forecast map. Low pressure just south of the tip of southern New Jersey here along the mid-Atlantic coastline. Rain pulling away, at least a steadier rain, excuse me, will be winding down by this time. It evolves into more of a patchy drizzle pattern in the overnight hours. Meanwhile, by the middle of the night, still some significant rainfall occurring with that cold frontal system in the Midwest here. And look at here, by tomorrow morning, we start off the day perhaps rain-free, but by midday and certainly in the afternoon, showers return ahead of that strong cold front, and again, can be a strong to perhaps even severe thunderstorm midday, afternoon hours tomorrow in D.C., Philadelphia, New York City, with the arrival of that strong frontal system. That pulls on out of here tomorrow night, going into the day on Wednesday. We kind of tend to cool down during the day on Wednesday. Wednesday itself, not too bad, maybe mostly sunny skies, highs around 60 degrees or so, but it turns even cooler Wednesday night going into Thursday. A pretty chilly day on Thursday for this time of the year. And then here we go again. More Gulf of Mexico moisture riding up to the north and east. This is the Friday morning forecast map. Looks like a chilly rain event possible on Friday in the mid-Atlantic region. Low pressure pushing off the coast. And following that, we'll have a blast of cold air into the mid-Atlantic region, into much of the eastern third of the nation for the upcoming weekend, and a reinforcing cold shock early next week, and it could get kind of interesting early next week in the mid-Atlantic or the northeast U.S. So certainly an active weather pattern continuing for the next week to 10 days or so. Rain today, more showers and perhaps strong thunderstorms tomorrow in the eastern part of the nation, and then another rain event on Friday, followed by very chilly air for this time of the year for the upcoming weekend, and especially for the early part of next week. That's it for now. For PerspectaWeather.com, I'm meteorologist Paul Dorian.